There are some people in this world who make a difference, who show almost superhuman courage, who teach us all how to live, even in the face of death. Jenifer Estess was one of them. She died yesterday morning from complications of a neurological disease called amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS. She was 40. Jenifer was a friend of mine, and though she was confined to her bed for the last few years, she refused to take this disease lying down. Instead, she became a living example of hope, humor, and love. Nearly 6 years ago, a young, dynamic, single New Yorker, Jenifer Estess, was diagnosed with ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease.
My legs and my arms went out first, and I went from a cane to a walker to a wheelchair. It happened so fast, and now it's in my breathing. And that is the fatal element of ALS.
That was the fatal final element that ended Jenifer's life early Tuesday morning. Doctors predicted the course of the disease, but no one was prepared.
You said your muscles are going to completely be paralyzed within 2 to 5 years, including the muscles that you breathe with.
Despite that brutal news, Jenifer, then a 35-year-old theater producer who grabbed every ounce out of life, vowed to fight on. When doctors told her to eat anything she wanted and max out her credit cards because nothing could be done to save her, she refused.
I can't deny that I have this illness, but I can't accept that there's nothing that we can do about it.
Along with her two sisters, Valerie and Meredith, Jenifer created Project A.L.S, an organization dedicated to finding a cure for a disease that affects at least 50,000 people in this country, a disease for which there is no medicine and no hope.
Our goal in starting Project A.L.S was to lay down a legacy so that people wouldn't have to go through this anymore. And I think we've literally picked science up and moved it to the point where I think we're looking at the first effective treatments for the disease. And that's all spurred by Jenifer and by love between sisters.
The love the sisters share has inspired and galvanized many from the world of entertainment. Just 2 years after Jenifer was diagnosed, she capitalized on her access to big names, staging fundraisers around the country. Jenifer and her sisters devoted most of their waking hours to raising over $17 million.
And I don't think it's an overstatement to say that these young women are changing the course of history by helping to develop life-saving treatments of the future.
People are very willing to step up if it's the right person, if it's the right cause, but if they're doing the work responsibly and effectively and efficiently, and if the money is going to the right places and they can see the difference, they can see the impact, then people have no problem.
Today, Project A.L.S has been responsible for some major breakthroughs in a once barren field. The Estess sisters have helped finance research in embryonic stem cells and gene therapy that finally offer real hope. The research may go from mice to humans within the next 2 years. And the sisters convinced scientists to share their knowledge and not work in isolation.
What Jenifer and her sisters in the organization did was say, check your egos at the door. All of you guys have to get together and make this approach successful. To make this approach successful means that you share insights, you share protocols, you pool data, you help each other, and as a result, by putting everybody's head together, you're going to move the field ahead.
She basically refused to take no for an answer. She basically said, no in thunder, I'm not going to take this lying down, we have to do more.
Jenifer was the epitome of courage, dealing with the indignities of the disease with grace and humor. A documentary this year chronicled her battle.
Come on, girl. All right, we do some wrestling. Come on, girl.
She was funny, brilliant, saw the absurdity in everything, completely driven, very energetic until the end.
If you could have seen Jenifer flipping those donuts, remember? She'd be eating them.
What I learned is that you have a choice how to face your life, and whatever you have left of it, to face it with courage, with dignity, with a sense of humor, with a positive outlook, with, hey, let's cure this disease, and I'm going to do it from my bed.
Yeah, I know, I'm the diva of A.L.S. The diva.
Despite her situation, those who knew her say Jenifer never complained, keeping her sense of humor even in the darkest days. Though she was deeply saddened, she never grew bitter and never got angry. And while she could have become consumed by the disease and the way it trapped her body, instead she dealt with it by loving others.
Our goal in starting Project A.L.S. was to lay down a legacy so that people wouldn't have to go through this anymore. And I think we've literally picked science up and moved it to the point where I think we're looking at the first effective treatments for the disease. And that's all spurred by Jenifer and by love between sisters.
Most ALS patients are so incapacitated by their disease, they're unable to become activists. The Estess sisters made sure that as Jenifer's body grew weaker, their commitment to finding a cure would only grow stronger. They set out to give a face to a disease that had none. That face was Jenifer's. Asked recently if she worried about dying, Jenifer answered in typical fashion.
Not anymore. I feel like I faced that in the first year, and I had to sort of grow up really fast and take that one on at the beginning. And I think now I worry most about my loved ones, the people that I love, that they're happy.